Captain's Log Supplemental.
So, Miss Vicki.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember when we were watching those WRL events and some of those grid life events where you used to see the in-car video and it had like the cameras seeing front and back, but it also could see all the telemetry and everything that was going on?
Mm-hmm.
You know, most of the ones that we liked were taken by the Sentinel system. Remember James came on our podcast earlier?
Right.
You know, we have no excuse since he lent us one for trial and demonstration purposes. We should actually probably put that in one of our cars. Maybe two.
I really think we should.
I think we should.
I know.
Because then we'd look like the immature endurance racing team that we are. Oh, wait, I mispronounced that, didn't I? Sorry, my bad. We could
so what does the Sentinel system do?
We could have 3 cameras with picture-in-picture. We could have, if we ever get the AIM system to work, open invitation to anybody from AIM to come on and give us a little bit of love. We need some help. And then we could have all our telemetry on there. And then we can have it streamed live into the paddock or around the world to our millions of fans. We're apparently very popular in Kenya right now. Don't know why, but that's fine. And it can integrate all the available race statistics from like Race Hero and everything. So we could actually see how we're doing on video. We wouldn't even have to carry around our phone anymore. Live.
I love it.
From the great halls of their house, there are assembled 3 who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher. Their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicki Fisher. Our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Skripchuk. And our Batman, the master of tools, gadgets, and all things mechanical, our mild-mannered soon-to-be billionaire, Alan Danvers. Their mission, to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them, and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team. Dominating with Dawson.
Welcome to the first ever part 2 of a Dominating with Dawson, because we wandered. I know it's hard to imagine. We were talking about Mario's heel toe is for suckers, and he was approaching it from a whole different perspective than we wandered into.
So much that we changed his name to Ian.
We did. Well, not we, just dummy me. But this is what happens when we record at 10 o'clock at night. But that's fine.
Sorry about that. I got the kids.
I know. I didn't. I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying. Sometimes that's a long day.
Yeah, I hear you.
As we've seen by Miss Vicki, sometimes looking shorter and shorter as she sinks down.
I know. I was up early.
But anyway, back to Mario's article. So Mario has this. Damn it! So tired. Ian. Back to Mr. Korf's article.
There you go. You can't go. It's actually wait. It's Dr. Korf. Dr. Korf to you, sir. Oh, it's so good. Okay, I'm ready. Seriously.
You back to me now?
Dr. Ian Korf wrote an article that we reviewed. I reviewed in brief, and I believe you reviewed in depth.
I did.
It was called characteristically of his kind of title was called "Heel Toe is for Suckers."
That's right.
Because his web series and blog is called "You Suck at Racing," and so that's right in line with kind of his theme. Yes, and book. So he makes some arguments in there. A lot of it's stuff that he kind of went and backed up on sim racing, but he's saying that not only is heel toe shifting for suckers, but in some cases that can go faster. I think he was doing like testing around Brands Hatch Indy and some kind of car. Was it? I'm not sure. Was it iRacing or Assetto Corsa? Do you remember?
Miata. I think it was Assetto Corsa.
Yeah. So using something that's a constant. I mean, Ian's a scientist, so whatever kind of testing he's going to do, you can usually be pretty. I think he's pretty faithful to the scientific method, even when he's outside of his work. So, and the kind of one of the details I read was he was talking about, I'm able to go into this corner and just carry a higher gear. And, if I need some maintenance throttle through the corner, it's not like you need all the torque of being, super, super high revs. He said, I can, if it's just maintenance throttle, I can be in fourth gear rather than third through this corner, catch my gear on the way out, be a lot less disruptive through my drivetrain. And he's like, in some of these cases, I was able to go faster by doing that without trying to downshift on the way in, just kind of catching my shift just as I needed on the way out. If I need any throttle, just using the higher gear, the throttle for the higher, or I guess, higher gear.
Yep. And I think the other thing, the one that I saw that was what I kind of experienced when I do try to heel toe downshift, is it's very difficult to keep your brake pressure stable, and that could end up upsetting your car more than potentially benefiting you from a speed perspective, or I guess from a weight balance control perspective.
Yeah, I think that's a lot more critical if we're talking about the beginning of braking. If you're trying to do your downshifting real early in the braking cycle, even more critical as far as car control and doing that. It's when you get down there, if you're doing your downshift pretty late into the braking cycle and you're already coming up off the brakes a little bit, I think it's less of a disruptive force if you're wigwagging a little bit with your foot on the brake pressure. But also, I'll say this: I don't think it's automatically to be assumed that you're going to be really unstable on your brake pressure with heel toe shifting. There are plenty of folks who can keep pretty constant pressure with the brake pedal and do something else completely different with the other part of their foot.
But as you and I said when we were talking about this article, saying, hey, we should talk about it, to the Mario, Ian, Dr. Mr. Korf.
Yes.
I got them all covered on that one. How about that for cover?
There you go.
There you go. You don't have to heel toe to be fast.
You don't. You sure don't. So there's a level of thinking and performance driving that just you take whatever the most credible person you heard say something and be like, all right, that's the thing forever. Like, oh, heel toe shifting. Well, it's in the NASA book, so it must be something that's essential to my driving. I got to, it's part of the NASA logbook ladder, and so if it's in there, it's something I got to do. I mean, I can see how people come across the notion that heel toe shifting is something that is the real best racers all do it, and you're not shit until you can do it your own self. You know what I mean? Like you mentioned that before, we kind of talked about it being a gatekeeping aspect of motorsport when it doesn't necessarily have to be done, and it shouldn't be a measure of how good you are at what we're doing.
No, and you can name a lot of racers who don't heel toe, just like you can name a lot of racers that don't left foot brake. That are quite fast.
Alex Zanardi never figured out left foot braking in Formula One. I mean, it didn't help his Formula One career, but also he's Alex Zanardi. You know what I mean? So there are people out there who are plenty goddamn fast.
He's kind of quick.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and one of the people I thought of, I remember going to one of my first club races. It was an SCCA race in the early mid 2000s, and it was Spec Miata had been around for long enough that it was a pretty established class. And I remember it was at the Roval in Charlotte. I was just there watching and helping somebody who had a race car before I'd done any kind of drive. And I was racing karts at this point, but I wasn't doing any kind of sports car driving. And I remember standing there at that section of the Charlotte Roval where they come off the front stretch and kind of loop around and kind of do a U into the infield. And I was kind of standing at the bowl part of the U, and I could hear cars coming in and just going, just kind of blopping it down into the lower gear. I was like, man, these people don't downshift. I was talking to the guy that was racing, and he's like, depends on how much, depends on who builds their engine and where they're shifting and that kind of thing. But he's like, definitely. I heard exactly, but I heard tons of very rapid Spec Miata racers not heel toe downshifting, and with a drivetrain like a Miata, it's very low power, so it's not like you really have the risk of like, oh, I'm going to buzz my rear tires and spin this thing around. It's not like you're racing an old '60s AC Cobra or something with 1 million horsepower. This is a very well balanced car with minimal amount of power. So it's not so that argument for rev matching, it doesn't really come into play with the Miata, but you can go find some video of some very fast Spec Miata drivers. There's a guy named Jim Drago, Drago. If you search Spec Miata and Drago, you can see this guy. He's won the runoffs before, and he wins national level races all the time. Does Miata racing and maintenance, and sells Spec Miata parts as a job. So I mean, this is a guy who knows Miatas. He's not just somebody who kind of has a passing affinity for Miatas. And this guy, you watch him race, he doesn't rev match, and he's right there at the front of the field in any kind of national Spec Miata event. So I will say that there's plenty of argument for not rev matching as far as it doesn't make you any faster.
So is this another case where, Ross Bentley's famous for his, it depends. And that usually means, you don't have to do something 100% of the time, and 100% of the time it's not done.
Right.
It's more important in my mind if you aren't good at heel toe. If you want to be good at heel toe, practice it on the street before you do it on a track, and practice on a track, not in a race, before you do it in a race, because a race is
learn all that stuff. Yeah, learn that stuff in a DE. Learn how to learn how to do this stuff on the street. Go practice it in DEs, and then by the time you get to a race where you need it the most, right, where you need these things to be working for you at their highest, then it's already there. It's all muscle memory. I don't put any thought into matching revs or, did I do this right? Where does my hand need to be? When I'm out there racing, that stuff is all just boom, boom, boom. It's all just caveman. It's lizard brain doing all that stuff. I'm not consciously thinking about where to turn in. I'm not consciously thinking about what am I supposed to be shifting into third. I mean, that stuff's already in there, and I'm just doing it. You know what I mean? If you have to be putting any thought into it or trying to methodize it out there, you're hosed as far as trying to get that shit going in a race, because people are out there somebody's going to be out there gaming you right then if you're out there trying to figure it out.
You have other things that you should be using your brain on.
Yes.
At that point. So
exactly. Yes.
So I think what we're going to have is Miss Vicki. You are in the unenviable position of having to unlearn and unbreak habits.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's going to suck for a little bit.
It is. It's going to be a little cranky. I'm going to get my crank on, and for a short time.
Okay.
But the benefits will be fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yep. I might have to try to beat you now.
Yeah, don't make her too fast, Bill. There's going to be some hurt feelings when she starts blowing all your times out of the water.
I'll just lower that seat in that little Miata she's got, and I'll just go drive something separate. And
That's to lower the floor.
The floor's already lowered, my dear.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So I think got the drop floor.
It's got the drop. A 6'8" person could fit in that car, but I have that seat jacked up like on elevator stilts, so Miss Vicki is at the perfect ride height.
Yes. Yes.
That's great. That's great.
So,
so Bill, where do you do? Like, we didn't talk about this, but I'm a heel toe guy mostly because of mechanical sympathy and being a control freak.
Yep.
I'm a control freak. I want the revs.
Yep.
Exactly where I want them, when I want it. And also, I want to be the one who's not borking up. I don't want to be the one who's messing up transmissions or being too hard on the drive line or shocking anything or hitting anything harder than it needs to hit. Yep. I want to be like a cat burglar on that drive line. I want to be like,
that's right.
Dropping into this gear, being super gentle here and there. And also, I'll say, I may look like one of the most violent drivers on my team, but I don't break stuff. I don't hit stuff. So I'm pretty mechanically sympathetic, even if it looks like the car's doing a little bit of wild stuff. As far as the hits, the mechanical hits I'm letting that car take in the car, inside the car, I'm pretty gentle with it.
Yep.
So that's why I'm a. But also, it comes so naturally to me. Like, it's just, I've been doing it so long. I can't imagine. It would be harder to unlearn and be like, I'm going to teach myself to drive without rev matching. So it's something that's automatic and kind of part of my whole system anyway. So I can't picture not doing it. Is that where do you fit in that?
I just want to see you if we got you into a car that auto blips.
Yeah,
that would probably just screw you up.
My teammate Reed has a 370Z that has the auto blip feature, and it's one of those things where I tried it. I'm like, that's kind of cool. I think I do it better, so I turned it off. But yeah, I got to. He had his car with some nice. I think he had some nice. He has some nice PFC brakes on it, and some maybe sporty 200 treadwear tires. This is more than 10 years ago now, probably. But he let several of us drive his 370Z on at VIR. I'll tell you, that's a whole different level of speed when you get a car that's really like a little bit sporty under the hood, and he had enough mods where I was like, okay, I could go faster, but this thing needs a cage, so it was really fun. But I didn't use the auto blip on track at all. I had used it on the street, and I was like, that's cool. I turned it off.
Please don't help me. Please stop helping me. Yeah. So I promised on our part one of this that there was a surprise coming. I'm not sure it's a surprise because we have talked about this in a much earlier Dominator Dawson. I mean, if I were to guess, it's probably somewhere in the hundreds, maybe the 200s, a long time ago.
All right.
I don't heel toe downshift at all.
You don't do it at all?
Not at all.
I didn't realize that. Huh.
Nope.
Gotcha.
Remember, when this is where I think you'll remember we talked about it. One of my superpowers is matching the revs with downshifts without heel toeing.
I thought you were going to say one of your superpowers was having fucked up ankles or something.
Yeah, well, I have that too. That's a whole different story. But yeah,
so sometimes range of motion issues will just put you out of the game for a heel toe downshift, and whether you wish you could do it or not. So
Yeah.
if you're one of our listeners who just has issues with being able to move your feet or your legs the way you want to, which happens to me, my knees are jacked up. Luckily, knees aren't that central to the heel toe process. But if it was knee toe, not heel toe, I wouldn't be able to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
don't beat yourself up if you're somebody out there whose limbs just don't move in that fashion, that direction. That's okay. That's just part of it.
Yep, I would offer the potential solution of PDK might be the way to go for you if you have this issue and you just want to eliminate the whole thing.
Yeah,
might be a good place to go. But
tell me this: when you are matching revs, you're just kind of intuiting it.
Mm-hmm. So what I do, remember we talked about it last time about I'm going down once the thing that I do is probably the worst in quotes for the car mechanical sympathy wise is I will push the brake and the clutch and be standing on both.
For how long?
Until I put it in gear and come out. So from brake on to downshift complete.
Oh shit. So you're sitting on the clutch that whole time too?
Yeah, it's like a second.
Oh,
that's what I do.
Interesting.
Or I'll leave it in gear and do the clutch late.
Oh, maybe I need a different coach.
Listen there, Sparky.
Well, so yeah, it sounds like both of you are kind of cheating the system in different ways because holding the clutch down simultaneously with the brake is a little bit out of whack too.
It depends on what I need to do with my hands. Because if I need my hands to do stuff, I may put it into the gear and just wait.
But if you're making that many decisions and that many deals with who's doing what on the fly, I'm worried about it. Like you should not like it. I think there should be no thought involved. There should just be your lizard brain.
Oh, I don't think about it.
Okay, so you're not making that calculation. Those bargains are already made. Your body's already got those bargains made and know who's doing what.
Yep. Because
I'd say every now and then when my brain accidentally starts working, and suddenly my feet are like, "Hey, what are you doing? Which one of you is doing this?" Like anytime my brain engages, that's when my feet get into an argument about who's doing what, and then nothing happens with the car when I should be slowing down.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure it's a good habit or a bad habit, but it's a habit of what I've done, because I've been driving a stick car for 40 years on the street.
Right.
So it's just, how many millions of shifts have I made? Lots of them. And, it's just what I do. So sometimes I do it that way and sometimes I don't. And if I, like you said, if I think about it or try to break it down and describe it, that's when I'll mess it up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've talked about the fact that statistically and from evidence of seeing drivers do it, that whether you're doing it or not is not. I don't think it's going to slow you down. So
that's not the
key.
Do
you feel like you're losing anything with not matching revs? Do you ever feel like you wait around too long for your right spot to drop it in?
I don't think I'm losing. I don't think I'm losing. I don't think I'm losing anything. But if I am losing something, it's not tenths. It's less than that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I like I said, I mean, the reasons I do it are mostly for control freak and cheapskate reasons.
Yeah. Like let's see. I haven't missed a shift like into the wrong gear on a track ever since we've been doing this. And I don't remember any engine zings on track. I think there was one, and I did the quick double clutch.
Yeah.
So I came in a little, so I just pushed the clutch back in instead of leaving it go all the way out, and then the car was good. So that was the only one time, and that was a car that I'd never driven before. So if it's in one of our cars, I haven't had the problem. So I don't think I'm doing anything wrong. I'm probably not as good for my throwout bearing as I could be, but
Those are pretty cheap though.
Yeah. I got
Hey, wait.
My beautiful bride will take care of it for me, so I don't have to worry about this stuff.
I got my best guy on it right now.
I got people for this. Yeah. So my people are sitting in front of a orange Miata right now. So Ben, you get to be the deciding voice. Miss Vicki, can you tilt yourself to the side a little bit? Should we nickname that Duracell or Nemo?
You know what's funny? I just heard this. Do you remember Megan Mullally from
Yeah.
What was that show?
Will and Grace.
Will and Grace, but other shows. She got fired from Finding Nemo because they wanted her to do the same. I guess she did like a kind of a high pitched voice in Will and Grace, and they're like, "Come do the Will and Grace voice on this movie, Finding Nemo." She's like, "I always want to do whatever voice I feel like fits the character," and they were like, "Yeah, okay, do that." And then they once they got going, they kept asking like, "No, we want the Will and Grace voice." And finally, she's like, "I quit. I'm not doing the Will and Grace voice for this movie."
That was not the best choice for her bank account, though.
But yeah, it might have been for her integrity.
Yeah.
So that's put me off of Nemo. I just learned that fact, and I like Megan Mullally more than I like Nemo. So what was it? Oh, Duracell.
Duracell.
Can we call it or what about Copper Top?
Copper Top. We could do Copper Top. Those are
Copper Top.
It's getting nicknames, and I'm not naming it.
You're not allowed to name your car.
Other people are naming it.
What about Dreamsicle? Looks like a creamsicle.
I know. Well, I don't know. You know what we'll do? We'll put that out to the audience. They can name it.
Yeah, I vote creamsicle or Copper Top.
All right. We'll have if I can figure out how to do a poll on Instagram. I know it's there. I just never figured it out. We'll have that for this episode. Look at that. Our first two-part Dominating with Dawson and our first ever poll.
So what do we decide? Is heel toe shifting for suckers? Am I the sucker here? Am I the one who sucks?
From my perspective, I'm more concerned about the brake pressure control and the car balance. And I think the potential to lose speed there is higher than the potential to lose speed by not heel towing.
Yeah, it's funny. I had early days of me driving. I had a Miata and a stock wheel, and I couldn't rotate my knee under the wheel to do the wheel toe, the heel toe with your heel. So I had the heel toe with my heel on the brakes and blipping the throttle
the other
with my
way.
toe. Yeah. So I have my foot turned the other way. So I'd have my foot, with the toe pointed over toward the transmission tunnel with my heel on the brake, and I had this instructor who's like, I hear you ref matching, but I can't see you doing it. It's like, that's a secret. Yeah,
it's my Australian method because I do it different down.
I go back so far that I've got at least two different ways of doing it that are all pretty built in. But if we're just going to talk about the mechanics of heel toe for just 1 second before we get going, you mentioned, I think in part one, Bill, about how it doesn't necessarily have to be this heel on this toe. For me, exactly. I just said I had to learn backwards just because of the confines of the car and the way I could move my leg in the car.
Yep.
But it's all about the action of blipping the throttle and having it sync up with your incoming revs, no matter what part of your foot touches it. There are plenty of times where I try to do a heel toe and I barely catch a piece of the throttle pedal. But as long as I get a little bit, because also remember we talked about this. I'm trying to do my heel toe as late in the braking and turn-in cycle as possible, so I don't need a bunch of revs. A lot of times, if I can just catch a piece of that throttle pedal and get a little, that's gonna be enough for me to blend it in without a big upset at that point. So get you a piece of that throttle pedal. It doesn't have to be pretty, whether it's the side of your foot, your actual heel, whether you drop your radio on it, whatever works for that shift. So that's kind of the main idea. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be perfectly executed.
Mm-mm.
Feel around for it. If it feels like something you can get into and feel something like it's comfortable for you to do it, I would recommend doing it. Don't obsess over it or let it disrupt any other part of your driving. This is also my recommendation too. Don't get hung up on it. Learn it if it feels right.
And my recommendation is the brake is much more important than the blip.
Yes, God, the brake matters. The brake matters so much more than the blip. But I mean, also watch out for money shifts. Be careful with your shifting, especially if you're not going to be matching revs.
Yep. Well, money shifting is that's
a whole separate issue. But
you can match your revs all you want if you money shift. They ain't going to matter.
Nope.
Just be real deliberate with your shifts, no matter what you're doing. I think is a point. You can be fast and deliberate. You can do quick shifts and be deliberate.
Not in a hurry. Be fast, but not in a hurry.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Don't rush your shifts, but don't wait around. Give time for those synchros to work.
Because it's a race, not a wait, right?
Yep.
That's right.
It's a race, not a wait.
as a great man has said many, many times on this podcast.
I want to get that tattooed around my belly button.
There you go. I don't know if that's the position I would put it in, but if you be you, man.
Yeah, we'll see. There's plenty of places you can put that. It could be on the side of my neck too. We'll see.
Yep. All right, sir. I think we've beaten up Mario's article for 2 weeks in a row now, and Ian's
article.
No, Aaron. Ian.
Good times.
I suck at this game.
You can write a blog post about that.
Sorry, brother Korf. Okay, I know. The sad part is I have them straight, and I just. Anyway, very, very well. Thank you, Ben.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Dr. Korf.
And your brother Mario.
Mm-hmm.
Honorary doctorate from me. So they're both doctors.
Yes. Yeah.